There's a truth I've seen repeat itself over and over again during my 30 years working with people over 50. So many strokes happen at night. When we think our body is resting, it can actually be facing hidden dangers. I've sat with more patients and families than I can count in the morning hours as they struggled to accept that overnight everything had changed. That's what drives me to keep searching for simple, practical ways to help older adults lower this risk. Hello, my friends. My name is David Mitchell. I'm 60 years old, a physician specializing in heart and brain health here in the U.S. For 3 decades, I've spent most of my life listening, guiding, and walking alongside thousands of patients in their 50s, 60s, and beyond. And today I want to sit with you like a trusted friend and share something vital: how to protect your brain and your heart before you go to sleep. Now, you might think stroke is something that just strikes out of the blue with no way to stop it. But science tells us a different story. With just a few simple nighttime habits, you can build a kind of invisible shield, helping your blood vessels relax, your brain stay protected, and your sleep become more restful. The good news: stroke is not destiny. It's not something we're powerless against. We can prevent it. We can cut the risk just by shaping a few gentle habits before bed. Think of it like a quiet preparation. You care for your sleep while at the same time protecting your heart, your brain, and the life you'll wake up to tomorrow. And here's the best part: it's not complicated at all. Tonight, I'm going to share 7 simple habits you can start practicing right away so you can drift into sleep with peace of mind and wake up stronger, healthier, and ready for a brand new day. So where do we begin? When it comes to preventing stroke, most people immediately think about medications or complicated treatments. But in reality, the journey starts with something very simple. And the very first habit, something that may seem small but carries tremendous power, is drinking water. Over the years working with older patients, I've noticed one thing that seems so basic yet so important: water. It may sound simple, but water is truly the flow of life. When the body is dehydrated, our blood gets thicker, heavier, and moves more slowly through blood vessels that are already narrowed with age. If there's even a tiny blockage in the brain or heart, dehydration is like pouring fuel on the fire. It dramatically raises the risk of stroke. I remember one of my patients, Ellen, a 68-year-old woman from Boston. She often complained about dry mouth at night, but avoided drinking water because she didn't want to wake up and use the bathroom too often. One night she was rushed to the hospital after a transient ischemic attack, a warning sign that a stroke could be around the corner. Together, we adjusted her hydration habits. Instead of drinking a lot at night, she spread out her water intake during the day and only took a small sip, about 100 to 150 millimoles, right before bed. That simple change helped stabilize her blood pressure and stopped her dizzy spells at night. Science confirms this too. Staying hydrated doesn't just help prevent stroke, it can also support recovery if one happens. Thinner blood circulates more smoothly, delivering more oxygen and nutrients to the brain, helping minimize damage. The key is balance. You don't need to force yourself to drink too much, because frequent trips to the bathroom can interrupt your sleep. And poor sleep in itself is another risk factor for heart and brain health. The goal is steady hydration throughout the day, not loading up on water all at once in the evening. And of course, if your doctor has advised you to limit fluids because of heart or kidney problems, always follow that advice. There's a phrase I often share with my patients: every sip of water you take today is a gift to your heart and brain tomorrow. Sometimes it's the simplest habits that form the strongest foundation for lifelong health. So we've started this journey of protecting the brain with one small but powerful habit: smart hydration. But water is only the beginning. There's another factor, quieter yet directly affecting blood pressure and blood vessels, and that is what you eat at night. And that will be the next habit I'll share with you. Now that we've talked about water, the flow that keeps us alive, let's look at another factor that sneaks into almost every meal and directly impacts our blood vessels: salt and sugar. Eating salty or sugary foods may sound harmless, but in reality, these are two silent enemies of the heart and brain. Over the past 30 years, I've seen far too many patients suffer the consequences of what they thought were normal eating habits. Think about it. When you eat too much salt, your body holds on to extra water. The blood volume increases, the pressure inside your arteries rises, and your aging blood vessels have to stretch to handle it. Over time, they harden, lose their flexibility, and the risk of stroke goes way up. Countless studies confirm that high blood pressure is the #1 risk factor for stroke, especially in the brain. And sugar gives you that instant sweet pleasure, but it leaves behind invisible cracks in your arteries. It spikes insulin, throws your body off balance, and overstimulates the sympathetic nervous system, the one that helps us react in emergencies. But when it's constantly triggered, your heart races, your blood pressure climbs, and both the brain and heart are pushed beyond their limits. Keep that up for years, and the result is predictable obesity, diabetes, and a dramatically higher risk of stroke. I remember Frank, a 65-year-old retired construction worker. Every evening, his dinner was cold, cuts fries, and a can of soda. He used to tell me, "Doc, I worked hard all day. I deserve to eat what I like." But one night, Frank was rushed to the hospital with a minor stroke. He survived, thankfully, but it was a wake-up call. From that day, he learned to eat differently, less salt, no soda, and instead, a cup of low-sugar yogurt and a handful of walnuts before bed. 6 months later, his blood pressure was steady, his weight dropped, and he told me, "Now I get it. Treating myself doesn't mean salty, sugary meals. It means having the strength to enjoy the rest of my life." So tonight, before you go to bed, ask yourself, is my dinner a gift to my health or a burden to my heart and brain? Instead of fried foods or a can of soda, why not try low-sugar yogurt or a few nutrient-rich nuts? These small swaps go a long way for your arteries and your future. Now we've covered water and we've covered food, the things we put into our bodies. But there's another invisible factor that can raise blood pressure and disturb our sleep stress. And the way we breathe may just be the key to giving the brain the rest it needs before drifting off to sleep. You know, there's a silent enemy I see all the time in the lives of people over 50, and that's stress. It doesn't just make us tired, sleepless, or irritable. It can actually open the door to one of the most dangerous conditions, stroke. I remember one patient, George, 67 years old. He once said to me, "Doctor, I don't smoke, I don't drink yet. I still had a minor stroke. Why?" And when we dug deeper, the cause wasn't food or genetics. It was long-term stress. George had been caring for his chronically ill wife. He worried constantly, his body had always tensed like a tightened string. His blood pressure slowly crept up, and one day a vessel in his brain just couldn't take it anymore. Medically speaking, when we're stressed, our body releases cortisol and adrenaline. These hormones make the heart beat faster, blood vessels tighten, and blood pressure rise. That's the perfect setup for a blood clot to form and block circulation. In other words, stress is like a slow-burning fire that weakens our blood vessels, until one day it flares up into disaster. So how do we put out that fire? Especially at night when the brain and heart need to rest most, I often teach my patients a very simple but incredibly effective technique, the 4-7-8 breathing method. Here's how it works. Breathe in gently through your nose for 4 seconds. Hold your breath for 7 seconds. Then exhale slowly for 8 seconds. Just 3 rounds of this, and you'll feel your heart rate settle, your mind calm down, and your eyelids start to grow heavy. This isn't just a relaxation trick. It's a way to protect your blood vessels and prevent your blood pressure from spiking at night. I always tell my patients, don't think of breathing as just instinct. Think of it as medicine. It costs nothing, has no side effects, and with just 5 minutes each night, you can sleep more peacefully while lowering your risk of stroke. So tonight, why not give it a try? Before turning off the light, place a hand on your chest, close your eyes, and breathe in the 4-7-8 rhythm. Then tomorrow morning, share in the comments. How did you feel after this breathing exercise? See, sometimes just a few slow breaths can be more powerful than expensive pills. They bring us back to a state of peace, letting the heart and brain rest after a stressful day. And once the body is calm, it's time to prepare for the next crucial step. One that's often overlooked: how we actually go to sleep. Yes, even the small habits around sleep can shape the health of your heart and brain. Let's move on to tip 4. Now, check your blood pressure. You know, in my 30 years as a doctor, I've learned a sad truth. High blood pressure rarely knocks on the door to warn you. It's like a silent thief creeping in the dark, slowly damaging the blood vessels, especially those tiny, delicate arteries in the brain. And then one night, a sudden spike in blood pressure while you're asleep can trigger a stroke. I once had a patient, a 68-year-old man, strong, healthy, went for walks every morning, but he never paid attention to checking his blood pressure at home. One night he felt just a slight headache, thought it was nothing, probably just fatigue. The next morning, his family found him paralyzed on one side. At the hospital, his blood pressure was over $200, 110. And the heartbreaking part is this: a simple blood pressure monitor at home, a tiny habit before bedtime, could have changed his fate. Nighttime high blood pressure is the brain's worst enemy. It narrows the vessels, reduces blood and oxygen flow, and starves the brain. Worse, it can lead to the two complications we fear most: a clot blocking the brain's vessels, a stroke from ischemia, or a vessel bursting, a hemorrhagic stroke. Both can leave devastating consequences if not take a life in an instant. That's why I always tell my patients, if you own a blood pressure monitor, don't let it sit in a drawer. Make it your companion. Place it where you can see it and remind yourself to check every night before bed. It takes 1 minute, but in return, it gives you peace of mind for the whole night. And if your readings are consistently above 140/90, don't delay, don't tough it out, see your doctor. That's how you give yourself a chance to protect your brain and heart. I want you to think of it this way: checking your blood pressure isn't a hassle. It's an act of self-love. Just like buckling your seatbelt before driving, a small habit, but one that could save your life. And now that we've talked about blood pressure, the silent enemy you can take control of, I want to lead you to another factor, just as quiet but equally powerful: the way you prepare your body for sleep. From light to sound to relaxation habits, your sleep environment can decide how well you rest and how well your brain protects itself from stroke. Let's move on to tip 5, sleep in the right position. There's one thing most people never think about yet. It deeply affects both the heart and the brain, and that's sleeping position. Many believe that as long as they get enough hours of sleep, they're fine. But in my 30 years of treating patients, I've seen strokes happen in the middle of the night, and sometimes the way someone rests their head on the pillow plays a role. Imagine this: when you sleep on your stomach, your neck twists, and the blood vessels feeding your brain get compressed. Or if your pillow is too high, blood has to struggle its way upward. Small details, yes, but for an aging heart and brain, they can become the tipping point. I remember a woman in her 60s. She often woke up at night feeling heavy-headed and dizzy. Her blood pressure was normal during the day. After close observation, we discovered the problem: her sleeping posture. She used to pile up 2 pillows to breathe easier, but that compressed the vessels in her neck and reduced blood flow to her brain. Once she switched to a lower pillow and slept slightly on her side, her sleep improved and she woke up refreshed, no more dizziness. Science supports this too. Sleeping on your side, especially the left side, promotes deeper breathing and better circulation. It's like opening up a clear stream of blood flow, letting the heart work lighter and the brain receive more oxygen. On the other hand, stomach sleeping or stacking pillows too high is like putting roadblocks in that flow. So tonight before bed, I want you to try something simple. Adjust your pillow so your neck feels relaxed, lie gently on your side, and let your breathing come naturally. A small change, but one that could help protect your brain and lower stroke risk while you sleep. Remember, sleep isn't just rest, it's the body's healing time. The better you sleep, the more your body thanks you in the morning. Now let me ask you, what position do you usually sleep in? And are you willing to make a small adjustment tonight to see the difference? Sometimes health really does begin with the simplest thing. You see, just by adjusting our sleeping position, we can already make a big difference for the heart and the brain. But there's another habit that's just as important: taking your medication on schedule. I know many of my patients often think, oh, my blood pressure looks fine today. Maybe I can skip 1 dose, it won't matter. But the truth isn't that simple. Every pill your doctor prescribes, whether it's for blood pressure, heart disease, or blood thinners, is carefully calculated to keep your body stable. Skipping a dose at night is like unbuckling your seatbelt while driving on the highway. You don't see the danger immediately, but the hidden risk climbs higher and higher. I remember one of my patients, a 68-year-old gentleman who had a mini stroke. When I asked more, he admitted that he often skipped his nighttime blood thinner because he didn't want to get up for a glass of water. That tiny bit of neglect raised his clotting risk and almost led to something far more serious. After I advised him to set an alarm and keep a glass of water next to his bed, he never missed another dose. Since then, his condition has been much more stable. Medical research also shows that taking your medication on time helps keep blood pressure steady throughout the night, that critical window when stroke risk is at its highest. Think of each pill as a shield guarding you while you sleep. So if you're on heart medicine, blood pressure medication, or blood thinners, make it a routine. Set a reminder, keep your pills and water close at hand, and don't let forgetfulness take away your protection. Because caring for your health isn't just about the big decisions. It's also about those small, repeated actions we take every single day, like taking your medicine on time. And tonight, I want you to ask yourself, have you truly valued each pill as a chance to protect your life? You know, there's something many people often overlook, but it has a deep impact on both the heart and the brain. And that's the bedroom environment. Man, I've met so many patients who complain that they can't sleep well. They wake up tired or even feel their heart racing at night. And when we look deeper, the cause wasn't their medication or some serious illness. It was simply because their bedroom was too stuffy, too bright, or too noisy. As we age, especially after 50, the body becomes much more sensitive to the environment. When the room is too hot, the heart has to work harder to regulate body temperature. When there's noise, even small sounds, the brain stays alert, making it hard to enter deep sleep. And when artificial light lingers through the night, the body doesn't release enough melatonin, the hormone that helps us rest and recover. The result? Restless sleep, higher blood pressure, and an increased risk of nighttime strokes. But a cool, quiet room around 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit can make a world of difference. Just imagine stepping into a fresh, airy room, the lights dimming slowly, no TV or phone buzzing in the background, only your slow breathing and the calm silence around you. That's when your heart and brain finally get the chance to rest, recover, and heal themselves. I still remember one of my patients at a retired teacher who had struggled with insomnia for years. He tried sleeping pills, herbal teas, you name it, but nothing really worked. It wasn't until we talked about changing his sleep environment, turning off the TV before bed, keeping the room cooler, and using blackout curtains that something amazing happened. After a few weeks, he told me it was the first time in years he experienced truly deep sleep. Even better, his blood pressure became stable again. Deep sleep is the most natural, affordable, and powerful medicine for both the heart and the brain. It's like a fresh stream that washes away the stress of the day, nourishes brain cells, and soothes the rhythm of your heart. So tonight I invite you to try something simple. Turn off the TV, put away your phone, lower the temperature, and let the night itself become your best sleeping companion. Feel the difference. Who knows, you might just rediscover the peace you thought was lost long ago. My friend, today we've taken a small journey together, but the meaning behind it is truly big. I've shared with you 7 habits that may seem simple, yet they have the power to protect both your heart and brain from stroke even while you sleep. From drinking a glass of water before bed to keep blood flowing smoothly, to a light, healthy snack that prevents blood sugar swings at night. From a few minutes of deep breathing to calm the mind to checking your blood pressure before bed so you know where your body stands. We talked about sleeping positions, something that looks so ordinary, yet it can affect blood flow to the brain. We also mentioned taking your medication consistently because stability is key. And finally, we discussed your bedroom, the peaceful, cool environment where sleep itself becomes medicine for the heart and the brain. 7 small steps. But I believe you've seen the truth. Good health doesn't always come from expensive treatments or complicated procedures. Often it's hidden in daily habits and how we care for ourselves in the little moments that seem unimportant. I've met many patients. Some improved with medication, but others transformed their health through these simple practices: drinking water at the right time, sleeping in a cool room, or slowing their breath before bed. And I've learned that big changes in health often begin with small adjustments. So what about you? Out of these 7 tips, which one feels easiest for you to start with? I'd love to hear your thoughts because your story might inspire someone else. Share it in the comments so we can all learn and support one another on this journey to better health. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like and share it with your loved ones, because sometimes one small change can save a heart or protect a brain. And make sure you subscribe so you won't miss the next health secrets I'll be sharing, especially for those of us in our 50s, 60s, and beyond. Health, you see, isn't just about living longer. It's about living well, living joyfully, fully, and peacefully with the gift of a good night's sleep. And my hope is that starting tonight, you'll take one small step toward that change for yourself.